Here in America, work is in trouble. We've offshored our manufacturing, sent away good jobs, and lost so much ability to make things. American Giant is a company that's pushing back against this tide. They make high-quality clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, promo code STAPLE20.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I don't know what the deal is. It always works.
I don't know either. Okay. We're good. Doug, you good? We still got Doug? Doug, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Alondra, we're ready to go? Okay.
I'm going to step out for a second because I have to do some AFR prep.
Okay, but don't be going too. Okay.
I'll be in the talk studio.
Okay, but if I lose somebody, I can't get them back. Is my problem.
Just text me. I'll come in.
All right. Okay. Welcome into the Hannycast for Monday, April the 7th. Charles Handgriff, along with former Tiger coach Dan Canterbury, former Tiger pitcher Doug Thompson, and LSU coming off of a 3-game sweep against Oklahoma, where they gave up 0 earned runs so far. 2 pitching guys, a pitcher and a pitching coach. You guys have been doing this forever. Cano, I'll start with you. That was a pretty impressive performance by the Tiger Arms this weekend.
I tell you what, a pitching coach and a head coach's dream to go out there and throw what did we throw? 5 guys the whole weekend?
5 guys. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and then have your starter get a complete game, coming out, and that sets the whole weekend up. I mean, what a great thing for Jay Johnson and for Nate Yeskie. But I'm going to pass on to Doug here. Doug, one thing we talked about last week, I think Cade Anderson officially graduated magna cum laude.
Yeah, I mean, it's official. He's the Friday night ace, for sure. Not if that wasn't already very clear, but I mean, it's almost like we talked it all into existence last week. We talked about it would be tough for LSU to win if Evans and of course
Chase Shores.
No.
Zach Cowan.
Okay, Zach Cowan.
Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Zach Cowan. If they're going to win 2 games and somebody's got to pick up the slack, well, this week it was Cade Anderson. We talked about how important it is for that Friday night guy to eat them all up, and the advantage just is so strong to the team where the Friday night guy does go complete game because, of course, all the arms are available. So what an amazing performance top to bottom this weekend from all 5 pitchers.
Guys, I want to talk about Anderson's outing on Thursday night, where Jay Johnson said after the game, when he went out for the 7th, where he was right around, I think it was 97, 98 pitches, that the next base runner that got on was going to be the end of his night. He was not going to let him pitch out of the stretch. Well, there was no next base runner. So he finishes up the game, and it's 135 pitches. Doug, I'll start with you. I was watching right along, and he never did, I thought, weaken at all. The velocity was down maybe a tick in the 9th, but the command was still there. He was still getting people out. He was still getting swings and misses. So you get to the end of the game, you got a complete game shutout. How do you feel about 135 pitches?
It's old school. I mean, it was awesome to watch. After he battled through the first inning, he avoided the inevitable 2. And then after that, he had it on cruise control. And I would say, if anything, he only got better throughout the course of the game. And he was as sharp as can be, man. It was a special outing, to go down as one of the best of the year, no matter what happens.
Dan, as a pitching coach, do you worry about after effects from an extended outing like that?
No, because he was throwing the ball well all night. One of the things we did, and Doug knows this, but one of the things we did skip Skip, of course, the lead dog on this, but I was observing and listening and adding in when we could. If you work with the pitchers and you see their motions and you monitor, and especially if you're calling the pitches, when they're starting to lose it or get tired, they lose their motion, their fastball, they leave it arm side high, their breaking ball doesn't break it sharp. If you're paying attention, that's when you make the move. Like Doug said, this is a little old school, and I'm proud of Jay Johnson. I'm also proud of Kate Anderson for the fact that Jay said, next base runner, you're coming out, and he pitches a complete game. That kind of said, okay, Jay, I'm not coming out, which was a good thing. But the fact is, Nate Yeske and Jay could see if he was losing his motion, if he was off a tick, if he wasn't commanding, if he was getting tired. And I think that part of it, rather than have a measured number, was huge. And because he was throwing so well, I don't think he's going to have any after effects. And remember, these guys got, 7 days, 6 days between starts. In a year from now, he's going to have 4 days in between starts. So I think he's plenty fine.
In that first inning, and I didn't think he pitched badly at all in that first inning, even though Oklahoma loaded the bases. You had a ground ball through the left side that wasn't crushed or anything, and then a roller that beat the shift on the right side, and then a full count walk, which was a pretty competitive pitch. So I didn't even think he pitched badly in that first inning. But, Doug, the conditions for the pitchers were excellent this weekend. The wind was gusting in from center field, and the temperatures were in the 40s, but for everybody I talked to that was there, it felt even colder than that. So the ball was not carrying real well this weekend, but talk about pitching in those type of conditions, especially this late in the season.
Yeah, the only thing that's not great about pitching in those conditions is getting warmed up. But once you're warmed up, I mean, the advantage definitely lies with you, especially if the wind's blowing in. Nobody wants to be up there and try to hit after it's freezing cold and the wind's in your face. So the advantage certainly was with the pitching staff, starting off with Kate Anderson as soon as they got loosened up. But yeah, I mean, again, that's about as impressive of a performance by all of them combined as you could hope for on the road. And what a great road sweep.
We're brought to you by Marucci. More than just a baseball bat company, from a backyard shed to the top of their game, it's the legacy built on passion and precision. With 2 decades of crafting the finest wood, metal, and leather in the sport, they're here to help you run the game. Visit MarucciSports.com to gear up with the best. And also visit the Hitter's House, 5801 Segan Lane here in Baton Rouge, and Airline Drive in Metairie. 24/7 access to the members-only cages, plus bullpen cage reservation opportunities, and 15% discounts off the retail store. LSU got a couple of runs in the game. That was all that he needed. I want to ask about the squeeze play that they have put in a couple of times this year. I think they've successfully executed 6 of these, but they missed a sign on the squeeze, and they had to catch a running at third base. So we're seeing guys, Dan, I'll start with you. We're seeing them run more to manufacture more runs. So when the conditions aren't exactly prime for hitting the ball out the park, LSU's got other ways they can score runs, and they get to that park up in Nebraska. It's not the easiest park to hit it out of. So even though they didn't execute, I'm not wild about doing this with the catch a run at third base, but other than that, they've been able to score runs other than hitting the ball over the fence.
Well, it's kind of like in football when you want a good running game, you want a good passing game. I think Jay has really worked on team offense in many different ways to win a ball game. And the more you have, as we used to say, the more bullets you have in a holster to win the game, the better you are. And I think Jay's really working to try to get that in. And it was obvious here you're in a 1-2 run ball game. You get late in the game or at any time in the game, it's going to be a 1 or 2 run game. To be able to squeeze in a run rather than wait for a hit. Remember, when you wait for a hit, even the good hitters in this lineup that we have, you still going to make 7 out of 10. You're not going to be successful. So to be able to get the runs in when they're there, when you need them in a close ball game, in at the right time, that's a great thing for coach to have.
Doug, let's move to Anthony Ianson, who threw 5 2/3 innings in the Friday night game 2 of the series. The 2 runs were unearned. He did walk 4, but it appears to me, not having pitched, so that's why I'm going to ask you, that Ianson is getting better. It feels like he is getting more comfortable in his surroundings. He is adjusting to SEC hitters, and I think he's a better pitcher now than he was a month ago.
Yeah, it's about confidence. I mean, the more you go out there, the more you believe that your stuff can win, the more you have success, which he has, the more confidence you're going to gain. And that's what that's all about. He's had the reps. He's had a ton of strikeouts. He's not, 4 walks, it's not terrible. you know, um, that is probably about where you start to draw the line for the starter, where you don't want him to get much over 4 walks. But I think Ianson, just like Kate Anderson, has graduated and
Yeah, I think
proven
he
that
made his
he
move. I think he
yep,
graduated.
yep.
He graduated. I think the big thing, though, Doug, is that I think Nate Yeske and he are getting on the same page, and I think Nate's figured out how to use him better, call pitches better for him. I think that's a big part of his game.
Yeah,
Bro,
I think he has a lot of success, pitching backwards, starting with that big breaking.
if you're looking for anything LSU, go to Bayou Apparel. EverythingLSU.com, made by locals, and it ships from Baton Rouge. So if you're looking for things that you can get a creative design that fits your company's message, you can showcase your brand, whether it's an established one or one that's brand new, go to everythinglsu.com or call 928-9090, 928-9090. With the breaking ball, guys, for Ianson, it almost appears like it's two different breaking balls, and I know that's what it is. So you could kind of tell me the difference and why this Doug is so difficult on the hitters. I don't know if it's arm angles necessarily. It's two different type of breaking balls, and he's getting a lot of swings and misses. We may have lost Doug on the golf course.
No, I got you.
I'm sorry.
Right,
Okay.
he's back.
I was
He had
on
to get
mute.
that putt first.
Yeah, he definitely throws an over the top curveball. I think he might even throw a cutter in there. Something else that's got some downward action. But what he does well is he throws it for a strike, and he throws it out of the strike zone when he wants to, which is really like two different curveballs. I think that's what makes him successful. That he's got a really good fastball too. I mean, we talk a lot about his off-speed pitch, but his fastball get in that mid-90s range too. So it's a hell of a 1-2 punch between Ianson and Anderson on Saturday and Friday night.
Dan?
Again, the shape of the pitch too. Give different shapes, different speeds, different breaks. So it keeps the hitters off balance. They never really get an opportunity to square it up. And like I'm big. I think Nate Yeske and he have gotten on the same page on how to use his pitches and put those in the game and call the game better. So I think that's improved. And I think Ianson's got confidence in his pitches. He's got confidence that he can pitch well in the SEC, and he's got confidence in Nate Yeske. So that's a big relationship that's important for the pitcher and the pitching coach.
And before we get to the bullpen, guys, let's talk about Chase Shores. Doug, we were talking about, from start to start, how he would improve. We're creeping up. In fact, I think we have eclipsed now the 2-year post-surgery date now, and he seems to be gaining a little bit more command than what he had maybe at the back end of the pre-conference schedule, the beginning of the conference schedule. Like Ianson, I think he looks like he has improved a great deal in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, again, he's getting more confidence, and that command for a kid like that with that type of stuff is going to be trouble, right? If Chase Shores continues to improve, which he will, with innings pitched, and that command continues to improve, I don't know that LSU's ever had a 1-2-3 that can be quite as dominant as those 3. We talked about it last week. I mean, it's not his stuff. He has first round stuff. It's about being consistent and being consistent in the strike zone and certainly getting ahead of hitters. So if a guy with that type of stuff starts to get ahead of hitters, you can expect success. And I think we saw a little bit more of that this week.
Dan, for a pitcher that tall, sometimes mechanics can get a little bit out of whack. He looks like he's repeating a little bit better than he was, like I said, earlier in the season.
Well, I think that's true. And I think, being tall, he's very athletic. So I don't know if the height has to do with it. I think it's really just coming off the surgery and learning his body again in its new form. Charlie, you and I can relate to this. You had your hip replaced. I've had my hip replaced. When you come off that rehab, it takes you a while to get used to the way you're operating now. And I think that's it with Chase Shores, especially trying to pitch. It's such a fine art of pitching. I think, like Doug said, the more he pitches, the more he gets his timing, the more he gets a feel for the pitches, the more he gets the ball in the zone, gets command in the zone, it's just going to continue to improve as he pitches more and more and gets past that rehab stage where he's really like not even in any kind of rehab, not coming off an injury. It's like the injury never happened, both mentally and physically.
Dan, my control was bad before the surgery. It was bad after the surgery. It did not improve one little bit. I wasn't in pain anymore, but I never could throw a strike consistently. Now let's get to what I think is one of the biggest stories on this team, and it's really been something to see, which is Kason Evans and Zach Cowan being this 1-2 punch out of the bullpen. And I've seen teams with multiple guys close game. You know, sometimes you see these teams that will have a couple of guys with maybe 5 or 6 saves at the end of the season. Doug, I think the 97 team had probably 3 or 4 guys that had, you know, a handful of saves, but didn't have that one closer. But I don't know that I've seen a team with 2 long closers like this. I think about long closers in LSU history. I think about guys like Chris Demouy. I think about guys like, before he became a starter his final year, full-time Lewis Coleman. I know Trey Hodges was in that role in the 2000 series and was the MVP of that. But having 2 guys who can go more than one time through the order and close games out, wow, what a luxury to have, Dan, when you've got both of these guys and this was my thought about why that has never really happened before that I can remember. Usually when you got guys this good that can go through the order more than one time, they become starters. You don't have the luxury of being able to bring them out of the pen.
I was going to say the depth of the pitching staff allows them to have 2 guys like that in the pen.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I mean, the fact that we're talking about Chase Shores throwing 94 to 96 miles an hour being your Sunday starter and trying to figure it out still, and he's still winning. Or a guy like Cade Anderson is going to go in the first 5-6 picks of the draft on the mound throwing a complete game shutout. The fact is, both of those guys can go twice in a weekend if they're kept short, but like Jay Johnson, with Cade Anderson going the full distance on Thursday night, the idea you bring in Zach Cowan, knowing that, man, he can close this thing out. I only used 2 pitchers, and I got the whole staff for Sunday. And then you get to the 6th or 7th thing, you say, I'm going to let Kason Evans just take it to the house and let's call this a weekend. So what a great thing. But it has to do with the recruiting, the depth of the pitching staff, and the quality of the people that are pitching.
Doug, I think you had some long when you were playing professional baseball. I think you worked some out of the pen and trying to work more than one time through the order.
Yeah, I actually did that at LSU as well. But guys, I'm gonna stick where we were last week. I mean, everything fell into place perfectly. Where once again, there's only 2 guys needed, and thank goodness they're arguably the 2 best arms in the SEC out of the bullpen, at least most consistent. So I'm still going to say that everything was great when it works out like that, where each of those starters go at least 6 innings. Everything would be great. But of course, it's not always going to be that way. So I'm still really anxious for one of these other guys. And we talked about 5 or 6 names last week, like, Benj and Rizzi, and Myers and Newt and some of these other guys. I really think the luxury is that only 1 or 2 of those guys need to quote unquote graduate. And this is going to be one tough pitching staff when that happens.
Charlie, I want to add to something along the lines that Doug said. One of the things I look at it like a coach is, Doug, this happens a lot. Say Ianson goes in and he's just having a bad day, and he gets into the 2nd or 3rd inning, he just doesn't have it that day. What a luxury to know that you could go to Zach Cowan and he could carry you from the 3rd inning to the 9th if you need him, because he's been a starter. So not only is he a long closer or a short closer, but he's a guy that can get in there and really give you a long relief and still save your pitching staff. So you still only use 2 or 3 pitchers in the first 2 days or when anybody goes out. So that's a great luxury for Jay because Cowan is his Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I think it's important that he keeps that pitch count up there, especially heading to the postseason, because you know how it works. I mean, every year it seems like you need that fourth starter, that guy to come in out of nowhere because you find yourself in a place that you shouldn't be in a loser's bracket or whatever. But it seems to always fall on that. And man, like you said, Keno, to have a guy like Zach Cowan that could potentially take the ball and extend a tournament for LSU is a great asset.
Doug. Go
you
ahead.
get into postseason competition. I just want to say, like Doug, from a coaching standpoint, when you get into postseason competition, if a guy's not doing well in the first couple innings, you're not going to wait when you're in a tournament. So that's the advantage of having Cowan. Like, if it's not right for the guy, pull him out, put Cowan in there because you know what you got, and then the guy can come back later on the last day and close for you, whoever started when he's better than he is that day. You don't have the luxury to wait around in a tournament.
Doug, I was going to say, I didn't remember you pitching very much in relief when you were at LSU. You were a starter almost the whole way, but I do remember one game against Alabama in June of 1997 that you were in there in relief in that game. I think you probably remember that game, right?
Well, actually, that weekend where they beat us 28-2, I also pitched in relief on that Sunday, and then in 1998, I want to say I actually closed the first 2 games, pitched the 7th, 8th, and 9th of the first 2 games in Omaha that year. So, yeah, I certainly did both, especially in the postseason for LSU. But mostly during the regular season, I started. But, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of college pitchers are able to do that. Zach Cowan just happens to be one of those that's very good at it.
Brought to you by Lake Urgent Care, dedicated to providing quality care close to home, treating minor illnesses and injuries for ages 3 months and up at 17 convenient locations, Livingston and Ascension Parish, in addition to Baton Rouge and Hammond. Plus, they offer occupational health and weight loss solutions, and they offer a seamless extension of Our Lady of the Lake. Patients can access care from anywhere with the MyChart patient portal. Urgent care centers are open 7 days a week. You can walk in, check in online, or schedule a virtual care visit at lakeurgentcare.com. Yeah, I do that first game in Omaha in 97. LSU had to play. Let me check the memory bank here, guys. 2 games on Memorial Day on Monday because it had rained, and the game Sunday night had gone late, and you threw 18 innings on Sunday, and then got the early game against Rice in the 97 series. NCAA didn't give you an extra day off because you'd played on Monday, so it was kind of a we got to sleep and rest quick and get back and play Rice. And Matt Anderson was on that team, was the number 1 pick in the draft. Am I getting most of this right?
Charlie, you got a great memory. I mean, come on.
Yeah, all of it.
It all blurs together for us.
No, that's pretty accurate as far as I remember, Charlie.
Yeah, and they have promised to call me from Omaha wherever Larson's ball lands that he hit off of Anderson's 100-mile-an-hour fastball, because I don't think the thing has landed yet. He absolutely mauled it. Let me talk about something that happened in the game on Thursday night that I really liked, and I think it shows the maturation of the young man. This was a 1-run ball game, and the hits were hard to come by. The conditions were tough. And Jared Jones on a 2-strike pitch absolutely lasers one down in the right field corner for a double. And it ended up getting LSU a run in the inning. But what was impressive was that's a pitch that 2 years ago he can't handle. He's going to strike out on that pitch. And maybe last year he's not going to make that kind of contact early in the season. But now he's not just a power hitter. He's not just a pull hitter. He is using every bit of that park. And that was a first-round pick he was facing in Kyson Witherspoon. And he took that pitch on the outer part of the plate, and Dan, he ripped it down in the right field corner. And that was just a really nice piece of hitting.
Kudos to the coaching staff, the chief and Jay Johnson teaching hitting. What a tremendous amount of development over 3 years for Jared Jones, and really become a polished professional hitter. And what a great thing for him! What a great thing for the team! And as you know, Charlie, that RBI is huge in a one-run ball game. All of a sudden, you get the second run in at the end of the game. That makes a big difference for the pitching staff and for the team and for the confidence.
Doug, when you got to pitch to a guy that's got that much power and he can still take a pitch on the outer part of the plate like that and drive it the other way, it makes him a very, very difficult guy to retire.
Yeah, those are the worst guys. Those are the worst guys. And he's worked hard to become that guy. His freshman year, I would have said, he could probably play professional baseball. He'll hit some home runs, but I think he's really going to struggle with off-speed pitches. Now, like Cano said, I think he's ready to play professional baseball. He's as good as you'll see a college hitter. He's reached 50 home runs faster than anybody in the history of this program, and this is one heck of a program when you start talking about things like that. So, yeah, I think Jared Jones is a double A hitter right now playing in the SEC.
Yeah, once he finishes up this season, he's going to be behind Furnace and Cressy, and that's it as far as homers at the school. And that's a pretty good list to be on for sure. We're brought to you by Dependable Storage, 8 locations across Louisiana and 1 in Gulfport. Check out their facilities in Slidell and Youngsville. They'll match any competitor's pricing and offer convenient online rentals and payments. They offer free use of the moving truck. For new rental move-ins, the facilities are clean, secure, and conveniently located. Check out the website at dependablestorage.com for locations, pricing, and rentals. Here's another guy I want to single out for outstanding play this weekend. Doug, if it was tough on the pitchers, it's tough on the catcher to catch all 27 over the weekend. And Luis Hernandez caught all 27 innings. We've talked enough about the conditions. Multiple hits in all 3 games. This is a heavy workload that he's holding right now, and he didn't catch a whole lot a year ago. You talked a week ago about the progression he's made as a catcher. So I know you work with so many catchers so closely. That's a heck of a thing. In those conditions, catch 27 innings and get 6 hits on the weekend.
Yeah, it's funny you say this. I work with at least one catcher pretty closely. That's my oldest son. And of course, I always had respect for catchers and how tough that job is. And now that I'm watching every pitch from a catcher's perspective, it's even more so. It just so happens my son caught his team's 4 games this weekend, and he described his legs and his last at bat. He said they were literally numb. He just didn't feel them. He was trying to go through the motions. So it's very difficult to do and produce. That's why guys like Pudge Rodriguez and so many others, well, actually not many others, short list of great defensive catchers that can also hit. So Hernandez started a little slow, but we knew he could do it, right? We knew he had shown some power in his career. It's just a matter of time to find some confidence in a very different circumstance than what he was used to before coming to Baton Rouge. So I'm telling you, if any of these, it's just like the pitching staff. If 1 or 2 more guys like Ethan Fry and Hernandez start to really figure it out at the plate, watch out. I mean, a very good team could get even better as we get closer to the postseason.
Dan, you want that catcher to be an extension of the pitching coach if he can. How's Hernandez as a defensive catch, as a receiver, I'll call it at this point?
I'm going to say he's getting better and better the more he gets behind it. Kind of like Chase Shores, but not coming through rehab, coming through not catching for a while. He's getting better and better the more he catches. I want to add, Charlie, he put 20 points on his batting average over the weekend, close to 20 points on his batting average, catching 27 innings. That's a heck of a feat. I mean, that's just unbelievable, like you said, in bad conditions. But he's gotten better defensively. I think he's going to continue. Josh Jordan going to keep working with him. And I think, now that he's hitting and hitting well, guys have a tendency to work more on their weaknesses when they're hitting than when they're not hitting. And I think Hernandez, too, and Doug will attest to this. Everybody always says the quickest way to the big leagues is to be a catcher that can hit and catch a little bit. So I think it may motivate him a little more, knowing that the draft is coming up. He may have an opportunity now that he's shown his catching skills to up his value in the professional draft if he keeps hitting and he improves that defense.
We're brought to you by the law offices of Dana Brown. Dana and his staff of attorneys have done a great job for us over the years. You can trust them to be your family-owned law firm for a lifetime. The first consultation is always free. So whether you've been in a car accident or have other legal issues, the law offices of Dana Brown should be your first. OC Brown should be your first and only call. Truly your law firm for a lifetime. Call them at 343-1111, 343-1111, or on the web at ocbrown.com. All right, both of you guys, as we wrap up here, the great news is that LSU only had to use 5 pitchers this past weekend. The only downside of that is there's a lot of guys that didn't get to pitch, and we know that Jay's going to chop up the game at Nichols on Tuesday night. But besides that, when you get these guys out of a routine, Dan, as a pitching coach, what do you do when you had about 9 guys sit around and watch, 7 or 8 guys anyway, sit around and watch all weekend? What do you got to do when you get back to Baton Rouge?
Well, I think Jay's going to make a decision on who's going to throw on Tuesday. And then I think they'll make a decision on, like, for example, today there may be some simulated games where the pitchers go against some hitters that didn't hit a lot this weekend. They go live on the field, no fielders, and they go after it and get some measurables. And then the guys that don't pitch on Tuesday will do the same thing possibly Wednesday, and then you move into the weekend. So you just got to keep it going. You got to keep those guys throwing. You got to keep improving. And I think Jay chopping it up tomorrow night would probably chop it up 1 inning at a time, maybe 2 at tops. So try to get in as many guys as he can to get them on the mound.
Doug, before we let you go, Louisiana firefighters and our first responders, a terrific program that you're involved with. And now we may have lost Doug. All right. Doug was joining us. We don't have video with him this week because he's joining us from his son's event. So we'll table that. Cano, what's going on over at Six Rings?
Well, Six Rings, we're right in the heart of the season ourselves. Charlie had one of our teams played a tournament this weekend. Got a little rain on Sunday, got rained out, but we got all 4 teams playing. And I never thought this as a baseball coach. When it rains, we get busy. I kind of enjoy the rain. We had a lot of people here this weekend, kids from around the North Shore coming in to hit. And, of course, our guys working and lots of activity in the facility. And we're doing well over here. We hope to see more people. If you got a youngster that's looking to get better, we give lessons. We've got cage rentals. We've got memberships available. We got camp coming up. Next week is spring break at the schools up here at St. Tammany Parish. So we got a baseball camp going on as well. So if you're interested, send your kid for a couple of days of training and some fun. Send them on up to Six Rings specialty camp over the spring break.
All right, LSU back to the Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule. They played Nichols in a rescheduled game from earlier in February on Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Auburn to wrap up the road trip. 7 straight games on the road for the Tigers. They're 3 games into that. 6 o'clock on Friday, 6 o'clock on Saturday, and 2 o'clock on Sunday from the Plains. For Doug Thompson, for Dan Canterbury, I'm Charles Hannegriff. This has been the Hannycast. All right. Thank you, Dan. I'll be in touch later the week. But
I think the headset, if she had more time, she could have fixed it because I was hearing you on my end, so it was plugged in. Something was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I can't tell you. This is a new room, so I'm ignorant to some of the things that some of the improvements they put in here that are great. Except I don't know how to work them all.
Well, that's the power. If you put in the improvements, you're the only guy that knows how to do it. They can't fire you. But
yeah,
I did want to say, I was going to say in here, though, what a heck of a thing on Sunday at the end of the day, when Tanner Reese starting the starting lineup, everyone was hitting over 300 or higher except one person, and that was Josh Pearson at 295. Boy, is that a great thing for a baseball coach and for a pitching staff to know that everybody in your lineup's hitting 300.
Yeah, you got like 12 guys that are hitting over 300, and Pearson and Hernandez are both at 290 something. So
Hernandez is 310 now.
Oh, is he 310 now? Yeah, they got they got a great shot to win this thing. I really
do.
I mean, they're good. They're good. All right, Dan.